We have a great session next. We have Revolve and bareMinerals talking about their personalization strategy with Cordial. So I'm going to introduce my speakers. I have Busch, who's the Chief of Staff and Client Experience at Cordial. I have Ryan Pabelona, VP of Performance Marketing at Revolve. And I have Irene Cassedy, Vice President, Customer Acquisition and Retention at Orveon Global, also bareMinerals. So in this session, you'll learn how to harness your customer data to refine your marketing tactics, using data-driven personalization to reshape strategies and deepen customer engagement, while also impacting your KPIs. Let's get started.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Everyone's filtering in. I'm Busch. I'm the Chief of Staff of Client Experience at Cordial. Cordial's marketing platform. We send emails, push notifications, SMS, and I work with leading brands like Revolve and Orveon, and they use Cordial to send billions of personalized messages across all of their different channels and leverage their data to put together some pretty cool programs, which we're going to talk about today. So I'm honored to welcome Ryan Pabelona and Irene Cassedy. Thank you for joining me today. Ryan, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ryan Pabelona. I lead performance and retention marketing at Revolve. If you don't know about Revolve, we're a multi-brand retailer specializing in premium apparel, accessories, beauty, etc.
Hi, I'm Irene Cassedy. I work at Orveon Global. We're a portfolio of beauty companies that has bareMinerals, Laura Mercier, and Buxom Cosmetics. Very similarly to Ryan, I oversee different names, but same idea, CRM, paid media, and customer insights.
Awesome. Well, it's really great to have you here today. We've got some cool stuff to talk to you about, and we're going to kick it off talking about personalization, because this is a broad topic that's really useful to talk about in kind of the sea of folks here across a whole bunch of different companies, brands. Personalization can mean a ton of different things. I've worked with the client on the client side for many years, and it's everything from just segmentation, simply segmenting down to a group of audience and sending a very tailored message to that group, all the way to taking in really real-time data and actually changing and altering the message in real time, adapting to a customer's behavior. It's like personalization can be pretty darn broad in terms of the different companies you're talking to. So maybe let's set the stage with talking about what is personalization like? What are the conversations like at Revolve when you're talking about personalization? And then Irene at Orveon. Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we have so many different signals that we use for personalizing. You know, we have, you looked at this, you put it in your cart, everybody does that. But we get really granular too, where we're looking at, telling people, hey, this item that you favorited is low in stock in your specific size, that granular of detail. And we, leverage personalization across other channels like paid social and on-site also.
Awesome. Irene, how about you?
Yeah, I think personalization, when I think about Orveon, within our portfolio, bareMinerals is the most sophisticated just by virtue of scale. It has the most signals and most tagged events and most customer data. So when we think about that mix, we have such a great opportunity to personalize at scale and use all that data, especially data that customers willingly give us. Like, for example, if they send us or complete the foundation quiz, we have a great trigger that goes out that has obviously the results of their quiz, but more importantly, then we have other modules with waterfall logic, like the complementary products that would enhance their foundation's performance also appear, or if they abandoned cart, they appeared. So like together, the email looks really personalized, but if you're starting piecemeal, any one of those modules would be interesting and personalized at scale.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating thing, because like getting super granular with the personalization really enhances the message. But maybe if we talk about kind of the next topic, I'm going to put some stuff up on the screen. So you can see these little bubbles are kind of just all of the various data points that both kind of Irene and Ryan are using across their program. And to do some of these effectively, we need to talk about the data underneath it. So maybe let's have a conversation around the data. Like, how do you actually go about raw data to pulling something off like this? And where do you kind of start, or what do you think about?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that, when we talk about, so we're partners of Cordial. When we talk about Cordial internally, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's the platform you're sending your emails, SMS. But for the CRM team and really the digital team at large, like we really think about Cordial in that it's a unified ESP and CDP. And we all of a sudden have all these customer insights at our fingertip. And we know what the alternative looks like, because we used to have separate systems and agencies that helped us pull all this reporting. It was late, it wasn't correct, XYZ. But now that our lean, mean team can pull our own insights, real time or however quickly we need, we also are able to share out those insights to our larger organization and say, like, this SKU is really great for new customer acquisition, or these subcategories have been the most frequently bought together in the past 12 to 24 months, and all of a sudden now we're influencing the go-to-market strategy, whether it be for a core category or for a new product launch. And then when we drill down to like a smaller level, even within CRM, like we're still using that same data that we're pulling out of Cordial to help us prioritize which triggers go to market first and which have the opportunity for the most revenue. So.
Ryan, maybe to you, like, how do you think about using some of this data within your program?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we want to leverage as many as possible. We have tons and tons of different campaigns that we run, with you guys based on all these things. I think another layer of kind of personalization that we want to get to is just like cross-channel, right? It's like some people might prefer to get certain messages through a batch email, but not SMS. Maybe they only want their order updates or certain triggered messages through SMS. So that's another layer of data that's not on here that I think is really important in terms of thinking about personalization, is just that cross-channel mix.
Yep, and then maybe, do you want to elaborate a little bit? Some of these are broken up as like modules within your platform.
Yeah, I think we have an example of one later, but we've been finding that triggered messages that are personalized are really resonating. We're seeing higher revenue per send for those emails, and so we've actually been dialing those up in lieu of our sort of more batch and blast emails. And not only that, we've included in our batch emails a lot of personalized modules. It might be one or two, stuff you've looked at or stuff that is similar to things that you've purchased in those emails, and we've been seeing those drive a lot of revenue per user.
Awesome. So when we go from here, and Irene, you had mentioned it as well, like CDP. So this is having this type of data at your fingertips is one, super important, but tell me a little bit more about that story from like a CDP and leveraging Cordial and sending messages, and how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a journey to find the right combination of tools, but this unified tool definitely helped us unlock, efficiencies. And I think that some of the ways that we've been using the data and, customer preferences, and with SMS, like that's a great example, is we have gotten, I think everyone wishes their SMS program was bigger than it is. Yeah. And they've been saying that for a couple of years, right? So it's like, okay, SMS, like, let's get on it, or maybe I'm just projecting, I don't know. But so one of the things we've been thinking about with SMS is like channel preference. And so that's where we've been using all this great data within Cordial. We built some logic with the team, and we basically set up a test a couple months ago that basically if you signal that your preferred channel is SMS, like that's it. Like we're now gonna sort of dynamically put you there, serve you SMS, because what we found is those people are driving 100% of the SMS revenue. So we're servicing them, which is great. And then on the flip side, we have now made our email audience more qualified, and we can do more things to engage that audience, and longer term have a better click-through rate, better engagement, better RP, things of that nature. So that's where we're setting up and using the logic and the data and the tool, and then adjusting that back out to have a dynamic result about who's getting what message first. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good conversation too, is like, how do you think about the mix maybe between the two channels? Because both of you actually send across email and SMS, and so how do you think about choosing which one to leverage across the platform?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I think we're building like a preference center out within the website and the app, but we also leverage you guys for push, so that's another channel that we have to think about in terms of like the more personalized, more towards like push and SMS, and the more like batch towards email. is what we found to be optimal for us. But I think it really is down to the user level, and giving them the choice is going to be what's going to be most impactful.
Channel mix, Irene, is there any kind of thing that you've discovered recently?
I mean, I think we're on this journey, right, of like we're trying to start out with channel preference. Again, like to Ryan's point, like leveraging the data that people give you. So if they're saying that, they want to be contacted XYZ, that was sort of the impetus behind it, but doing it in a more manageable, dynamic way as opposed to static audiences. We also do direct mail, so that's sort of part of our Cordial mix as well, and pulling that audience data to see whom should get some of the more traditional pieces versus who should get email, SMS. And then we also do a lot of audience work that, because I oversee the paid media team like Ryan, we actually do a lot of audience work where we're pulling out segments, feeding it over to the media team, to do lookalikes and things of that nature and retargeting if it's appropriate. So that's arguably like a fourth channel and a fourth way we're using Cordial to put forth the right segment for the right channel, if you will. So.
Let's talk about some of these examples that we have. So I think this is, Irene, maybe we could talk about the bareMinerals example here and kind of the results that you saw.
Sure. Yeah, so we, thanks to Ryan and the REVOLVE team, we actually stole this. It's called the mega message. We stole it with pride, or borrowed with pride, if you will. We kept hearing the Cordial team speak about it. But basically, it's just a number of dynamic modules in a trigger. And Ryan sort of touched on this at the beginning of our session. But this is highly impactful. And so we started it with Bare. Again, the Cordial strategy team had been telling us about this, and we finally in Q1 realized that there was really something here. So we started it with bareMinerals, and within Q1 it became our #1 trigger because the whole thing is personalized. And we have a waterfall logic, so each module is slightly different. We've tested the placement of the modules, what have you, the different logics. And after these amazing results, we've since launched it to all 3 brands, and then we also have a global remit, so in all the regions. And so, one, this is great because it was a trigger with the most revenue, and then from an efficiency and team point of view, it's one less batch email they have to brief in every week, and it's like you were saying that we're doing this great trade. The more automation we do, the more efficient we can be. And it's also better for the consumer, right? So there's a behind the house benefit and also a consumer benefit. So we're excited to see, how far we can push this, how many we can add in a given week, things of that nature. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So my example, this was a batch email that had a personalized section at the bottom. The one that I got actually had a bunch of shoes at the bottom, and so we used some of my colleagues because it's a little bit more visually appealing with the dresses and stuff.
And that's the love these.
Yeah.
section,
So that were specific to what she was looking at or interacting with on the site. I think this email, I think the hero image was about matching sets, and so that's a big trend right now, and it's part of what we're trying to push in terms of our promo emails or batch emails. But we find that not everybody resonates with those things that we're putting in these emails or certain trends, and so just having something for everyone in the email with these modules has been really great. And we've been testing how much we could do. This one is 8 products. We have some that are more. And this one in particular drove 20% of the revenue from the entire email, which is huge. And we find that can be between 15 and 30%, just depending on the email. But yeah, we've been seeing really great results with this kind of personalized module in these types of emails.
Awesome. And then maybe just to kind of clarify for folks too, the personalized module section down below there, I mean, I would say that's kind of akin to those bubbles that we were showing earlier, where those bubbles are all effectively a different module that Revolve's built out a library of 200 plus of these things. And so they're plugging in this type of personalization into their batch campaign and saying, how does this work? But then you're also be able to test against those things and say.
Yeah, exactly. So some of these might be stuff you viewed, some of it might be stuff you put in your cart, or items that are similar to things you bought, or it could be complete the look. There's all these different signals that we use to come up with what to put in these modules, and then we're always actively testing which ones are performing better, down to the specific user. What are their preferences in terms of what are they interacting with?
Love that. And I love kind of the play on these two different examples, how they come together, because you've got all these modules, you've got a whole library of them, you're testing those things. And then Irene, the example that you've put together is also really cool that Revolve has as well. It's like, take these things, let's package them all together and let's test them out, because there's some of this personalization in here that works super well, especially if you tier it down and move through all of the various personalization modules you have. So very cool examples. Anything else that you want to mention on these two?
Thanks to the Revolve team for coming up with this strategy.
I mean, I think that's actually pretty neat too, is the fact that it just kind of goes to show that these are strategies that you could implement across brands. This is actually the first time Irene and Ryan have met, so it's not like this has happened, but these are strategies that can be portable across different accounts and even to yourselves to think about how you could leverage some of that data that you have and get it into the message to help drive that personalization, drive the revenue that ultimately you're going to be seeing from these types of emails. So
and I
really
think
cool.
we've both tested quite a lot, right? Because there's like, to your point on the slide before, there's like infinite different strategies, and even like in combination of what goes first or second in the waterfall. And so I think that you guys are probably more involved in that way, and we are, nascent in that we have all the data, but finding the perfect sauce of how they should be stacked is probably where we are.
I was just talking to Bailey about how we're still testing that and trying, how we break it up, how we actually call out, what's what in emails. We're constantly trying to evolve that, because it is a good performing one. It doesn't mean it can't perform better. So
right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a point to everyone, right? It's like, don't stop testing, even if it's working. It has really positive results. Like it's always worth to go back and really ensure that it's continuing to work, or as hard as it can, to get the best click-through or RP or whatever it is that everyone is accountable for, or the most important metric in their room. So
awesome. And then I'd be remiss not to kind of plug Cordial one last time as well. But like we send these automated emails, these SMS, the push notifications across all these channels. I think the one thing to keep in mind is like Cordial is a place where we're bringing the data and the activation really close together. So it's important to have a platform where you can leverage all of that data. I think that's one of the unique things, is like why folks are often like, hey, you look kind of like a CDP. It's like, yeah, we got a lot of this data here. And hey, we send all of these emails, and being able to bring that together allows you to make some really cool programs like this. So I really appreciate your examples and what you've shared with us today. Maybe one last thing, what's one thing that sticks out working with Cordial, or one of your favorite things about Cordial?
I would say the focus you guys have on your product and technology. We had a meeting about your whole roadmap and how you're leveraging AI in the platform, and I think that's critical for us, because we want to stay on the forefront of the cutting edge of our retention marketing, and I feel like you guys are a great partner for that, because you're always investing in your product and trying new things out.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think to build on that, like in one of the earlier sessions, it was, obviously we all talk about AI at conferences, but finding the right use cases is actually almost the hardest part. So I think when you guys share the roadmap, that's one of the things that you do well, of like, hey, here's a potential use case to bring this to market. So I appreciate that. And I think the other thing is, I used to have an old boss that used to say it's always about the people. And I think in this case, like the Cordial team really brings a lot to the table, in that you're willing to strategize with us, hear out our testing hypothesis, help us put it into action. And then on the data side, like you're always, you're our partners in ensuring that we get the most elegant solution and really finesse the data or build the right logic to like unlock what we have available to us within the platform. So, yeah.
Love hearing that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Irene. Appreciate you all being here. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.